question I tend to ask quite a bit is, what's the most trouble you've been in? And it's kind of funny to see, because when you ask older people, it always sparks something in their head of when they were most likely younger, right? And it's always, they 9 times out of 10 always look back on it quite fondly, of like, oh, I was silly, I didn't think, or whatever it is. It always comes out quite funny. And it goes to show how much your perception or how an experience can be quite a bad one, because getting in trouble is quite a sad emotion. And then when you grow up, for no particular reason at all, that memory becomes quite funny. And I'm sure that my kids will probably ask me this question at one point. So here it is. If I never get to tell you, here it is. These are probably the biggest times I've ever been in trouble. And I will probably look back on it quite fondly as well, as much as I can. Now, was I a naughty kid? No, but I was probably quite a handful. More annoying, if anything. But I definitely had times where I got in trouble. Now, one of the first times I remember being in trouble now, some proper trouble, was my mum had a big thing with no balls in the house and no guns. Water guns, BB guns, Nerf guns, whatever it is, didn't like it at all to be in the household. Not whilst I was a kid anyway. Anyway, so we all get together, our family. This is the only family photo we have. Like, there was no family photo before this. My mum got a bunch of our family together to go and take a family photo. So we go and take this family photo. Cousins, uncles, all the lot. And my mum gets it blown up, and she gets a big glass frame and she puts it up on this wall. But it's not a wall, it's like like above a fireplace. It's kind of like a ledge. There's like a ledge, and she's laying it up, but it feels that like maybe it's not, I don't know how to explain it. Like, there's a gap behind the ledge. I know it doesn't seem to make sense, and I don't think that's actually how it was, but this is how I remember it. So like, there was the ledge that come out, and then this was the front face, and then at the back here there was a little gap. Anyway, coming back to the no balls in the house, there had just been a birthday. I'm not too sure who it was, but me and my brother were playing with a balloon. We're patting it around, whatnot. Now, a balloon is not a ball, right? Well, yeah, no, it kind of is. Anyway, so my brother goes, and I have no one to play with, so I'm smacking it against the wall, back and forth. And I don't really know what happened, if I'm being honest, but somehow I hit the balloon, and it hit this big glass frame with this family photo in it, and somehow the balloon was heavy enough to push it over and have it crash. Oh my god. Now, as soon as that fell, my laugh flashed before my eyes, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get killed. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, it wasn't great. I was in big trouble for that. Yeah, big trouble. I think around the same time I was getting in trouble anyway, so it was probably just a knock-on effect. Even though it was a complete accident, and I really, I didn't mean to do that. As soon as I hit it in the car, I was like, oh no, I'm so done. I'm going to the grave. But it was still funny. At the time it wasn't, though. I don't know what punishment I had for that, but I know around the same time I had a punishment, besides a smack, was to I couldn't touch anything, anything at all I couldn't touch. I remember one time I found, not even a toy car, it was, I don't even know how to explain, it might have been like a train from a wooden set. And I saw it when it was under the sofa, and I've gone and picked it up, and I'm just doing this basically, back and forth with it on the floor. Again, I'm probably like maybe 7. And I remember, boom, that got taken away from me. I didn't even know what it was. I had it for about 2 minutes. I didn't even know where it'd come from. And that had been taken off me. But yeah, I couldn't touch anything basically. I don't know if that was the punishment for that, but it was something else that I did around the same time. Which is probably this one. So I've already told this story on the channel before, but basically, long story short, I trashed the classroom, and I think that was the punishment for that, not being able to do literally anything. And I had to write lines, I believe, which the lines were the worst for me because I can't write. I was rubbish at spelling, and I couldn't write lines. Like, it was just a struggle. So I'd start like writing the same letter down because I had to keep looking back and forth on something if I had to write lines. And I think lines were kind of good. Like, when it comes to my mum, I think punishments were definitely on her strong suit. I think writing lines were actually kind of good. It was a good punishment for me to have because I was terrible at it. So it made me better, I guess. Not really. It just made me better at drawing lines, and then, you know, it's kind of funny. I feel like I remember punishments more than I did the actual action I did, because I didn't do a lot. I don't feel like I did. There wasn't a lot of times where I was really in trouble. Normally, I just had, you know, a little, I get smacked up, and then, you know, some verbal stings, and that kind of be it. Just, I want to see you off to your room kind of thing. I do remember when I was young as well, me and my cousin went to the shops. We didn't have much money, and I remember I stole a drink. Don't steal, guys, don't steal. Never steal, no matter if you're poor, and it doesn't matter who from. You should never steal. I stole a drink because I had no money, I wanted a drink, and that was it. I got caught, went home. First of all, I got smacked up by the corner shop person, which, fair enough, fair enough. Went back, my cousin had told my mum and his mum what had happened, which is fair enough. And yeah, and I was in a heap of trouble for that as well. Fair enough. I think the corner shop person told my mum that I was stealing alcohol, which I wasn't. Which was kind of funny on his behalf, because he probably knew that he knew that if my mum would come home and she would, thought that I was stealing alcohol, it'd be worse because I was younger as well. And yeah, it was so funny. It was so funny. But no, I didn't steal alcohol. I think I stole it was like a Mars milkshake, if I remember, which is so funny. Like, thinking back to it now, it is quite funny that the guy at the shop told him I was stealing alcohol. Like, it's a little spiteful. It's a little spiteful, but I get it. Again, even though he'd smacked me up as well, like, you know. It's funny, man. It's funny. At school, again, I wasn't really I wouldn't say I'd get into a lot of trouble. More as like, let's say I didn't do work, or I didn't, hand in some homework, something like that. But I was in trouble a few times, and I remember I only ever went on report once, which your school has a version of it, but basically every time you go into lesson, they would mark you down for how good you did within that class, and it's for every single class. And at the end of the week, you'd have a review. If you've done good, sweet, you're off report. If you're not, you go up, or you stay on the same report. And I remember it went green, yellow, red, and then pink. And I remember, like, if you was on pink or red report, you were most likely gonna get kicked out. And if you was on green, you was definitely naughty. Yellow was, you were getting there. You was about to be, you're getting to the point of no return kind of thing. And I remember I got put on green report. And I really didn't believe that it was sanctioned. But I think I had a fight, and that's kind of what sanctioned it. So in classes, I believed that I was kind of alright. Well, I wasn't, because I didn't do work. I didn't do a lot of work. I was occupied with my own mind and thinking about things. So every class I went into, the reality is even though I might have been behaved a little bit, and I ain't throw no disrespect, I might have talked a bit too much, I was not doing enough to basically grant a good on the report. So I remember at the end of the 2 weeks, it was handing my report in. They said, boom, we're going to go to yellow. And I was like, oh my, like, really? Did I do that bad? Really? Okay, whatever, all right, it's yellow, it's whatever. And we do it again, another 2 weeks. I come, boom. Yeah, we're going to red report. I'm so confused at this point. I'm thinking, because I can see what they're saying as well. I'm like, it wasn't that, was it really that bad? Was that really granted? Another 2 weeks go past. I hand it in, I'm on red report now. Like, again, most kids on a red and a pink, you're most likely going to get kicked out. Like, you're going to get kicked out at one point. And they either discuss, and it looks like I'm going to be off report, but then I go on to red. And when I go on to red again, it's the second time, so I'm doing it for a month. I'm thinking, there's no way. Like, I was really making sure that I was doing what I needed to be doing. After the 2 weeks go past, I have my red report in. It's pretty much crystal. Like, it's pretty good. They bumped me up to a pink. And I couldn't believe it. I honestly couldn't believe it. Even still to this day, I believe that was a very very unfair call. I might have had 1, maybe 2 lessons in a 2 week stretch where I messed up. And when I say messed up, it's like I didn't do enough work or something, which was crazy to me. They hand me the pink, and I remember this so vividly because I've walked out of my head teacher's office, and I go to scrunch it up, and I go, no, that's just going to prove to them that I'm just as shit as I once was. And I stop myself, and it's the first time I remember being able to stop my anger in an instant. That happened very rarely when I was younger. And I remember it so much because once I did it, there was the assistant of my head teacher, and she came up to me maybe a few days later, and she said, Cam, I saw you was going to scrunch up and put it into the bin, and you didn't. You stopped yourself halfway through. And that meant a lot because I think I didn't acknowledge it at the time. But yeah, I was proud of myself because I was moving forward, I was learning, I was progressing myself. And I did really well to hold my tongue, hold my anger in. I remember not long after that, maybe like a week into my pink report, my head teacher, he had a pen, and he'd always talk about this pen, and he had a case, and this pen was worth 200 quid or whatnot. And I found his case on the staircase as I was actually going into class very, very late. And I saw the case, and I know obviously it was his. I picked it up, and I went to his assistant, I handed it in, and I went to class. After that class, I came down, and my head teacher, he's called me in like a day later. After this has all happened, after I've given it in, it's like a day later, he hasn't seen me. He's called me in, I'm like, what have I done? Like, have I, as a teacher, told, what have I done? And it's always, what have I done? It was never, I knew every time that I was called upon, every time someone had to talk to me, it was for something I did wrong. And I went in to his office, and he raised his hand out, and I got my report out, my pink report out, and I went to give it to him, and he laughed. He was like, no, I'm giving you a handshake. And I shook his hand, and I don't know why I got put on the pink report, if I'll be completely honest. Even still to this day, I don't think I was that bad at that point. It took a long time to get off Pink Report. I believe I was on it for another 2 weeks. I think I was on it for a month. And I came off of it, and that was it. That was the only time I ever ran a report. And I don't know what it was, but that interaction I had with my head teacher made me think very differently. Because I feel like up until that point, everything that I'd ever been told, every time I had to talk to a teacher or I was getting called away, was for something bad. Whether that be something that has happened or something that involves me or something I did. It was always something bad. And this is the first time it was, just a chat really, and just to say thank you. I also think that maybe my head teacher at that point, he knew me and we worked fairly well together. But I think at that point, he kind of realised that I might be a bit of a bit rubbish at school, but I'm not a bad person. And at this time, I had all reasons to hate my head teacher. And I think he realised that it's getting bad. This kid is not a bad egg. And I believe that maybe he thought I was. Maybe just a little bit. But yeah. There's the story in Banamori. Other than that, I don't think I was really in trouble. I definitely got a good few thousand smacks from my mother. But not really because I was in trouble. Most of it silly. The worst telling off I have ever gotten, and I've told this again on the channel before, but I'll tell it again. My dad would always have the new stuff. He was always hip with the new stuff, the new games, consoles, food, items, gadgets. And he had just got a PS Vita or whatever, like a DS, but it's not DS, I forget what it's called. But he had it, and he was showing me a game, and I got, he was so excited to show me this game. And I'm young, I'm like 6 maybe, and he's showing me this game, and I have a go, and I'm loving it. And I get to a point where I cannot win, and I throw this PS Vita on the floor, and I remember he picked it up, and it's the way he said it. He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, oh, "Come on, man!" Like, he was so disappointed. Still to this day, the disappointment, the upset that I heard in his voice was worse than any telling, any punishment, any lines, beatings I would have ever gotten. It was the worst. My dad never raised his voice to me. He never hit me. He never was angry. And that right there, when he was upset, that was the worst. So yeah, I will talk to you guys